Got a couple of announcements to start with. President Clinton has nominated Lieutenant General Wesley Clark to the rank of general and to become the Commander-in-Chief of the Southern Command in Panama. As you know, General Clark is in the Army and is currently the Director for Strategic Plans and Policy on the Joint Staff. Second announcement is that next Monday, as you all know, is Earth Day, and the Department of Defense will join the rest of the nation in the 26th annual observance of Earth Day. The DoD's environmental policies have been nationally recognized. It's won awards from the Nature Conservancy and other groups for the good work we've done as stewards of 25 million acres of land in the United States. So there will be a number of events that will showcase the department's environmental activities on Earth Day, and we can get you further information on those. With that, I'll take your questions.
Ken, can you tell us what you can about the Pentagon policy regarding the use of the phasing out of dumb landmines, replacing them with smart mines, and whether there's a timetable for that and what the proposal is at this point?
The President announced in late 1994 that we would strive for the eventual elimination of anti-personnel landmines, and we are currently looking at ways to do that. It's likely to take some time. The whole policy now is under consideration, but we have to find a way to balance the protective and military uses of landmines, anti-personnel landmines, against the desire to eliminate them over time. Landmines do provide essential protection, perimeter defense to American troops, particularly today in Korea. As you know, it's our policy now to deploy only self-destructing landmines, which do not have a long life that allows them to hurt civilians long after the conflict is over. This policy is now being worked, and we don't have a firm schedule, but as soon as we do, we'll tell you about it.
Could you just comment on the published reports today that say that the Pentagon is proposing a time frame of the year 2010 to renounce the use of anti-personnel mines?
I think until the policy is firm in the administration, it would be premature to talk about it, but I just want to stress again that it is our long-term policy to eliminate the use of anti-personnel landmines. It's not something that can be done immediately, but we're trying to find a way to do it as soon as possible, taking into account the fact that landmines do serve legitimate military purposes now. Charlie.
Ken, the fourth F-14 of the year crashed yesterday at Oceana. Has the Secretary have any worries about this? Has he discussed it with Navy officials, and is there any indication that they'll stand the F-14s down again?
I can't answer that last question. As you know, the F-14 fleet has gotten a lot of attention already this year. It will continue to get attention. The Secretary is briefed on all crashes, and he's very concerned about flight safety. Admiral Borda listed a number of actions that have already been taken this year to improve the safety of F-14s, and we'll continue to pursue every avenue we can in order to deal with, to prevent every crash we can. Significantly, of course, we're going to add digital flight control systems to the A's and B's. We're going to improve make some adjustments to the engines on the A's. We've ordered changes in the flight profile, that is afterburner restrictions on the B's and D's. There's been a stand down already. There have been changes in training. There have been changes in flight procedures. And we'll continue to take every step we can until we get to the bottom of these problems. I hasten to point out that there's no common thread yet among these crashes, and there may not be. Every crash is being evaluated on its own. You got the report last week of the crash in Nashville, and as we finish the investigations of the other crashes, you'll get equally full reports.
Just a brief follow-up. No Admiral Borders, and I believe he's in Russia now. Has the Secretary discussed this with senior Navy officials since it happened to reiterate his concern over it?
Charlie, the Secretary's concern is well known. I can't tell you for sure whether he's discussed it with senior Navy officials. I assume he has, but I don't think there's any doubt in the Navy about the Secretary's concern. There's no doubt in any service about the Secretary's concern about flight safety. John?
Yeah, Ken, the Secretary, I believe it was during the budget briefing, went on at some length about the safety record in the military. I wonder, A, does he still stand by that position? And B, you're probably aware that there's been some criticism from the Republican side on the Hill to the effect that maybe the declining defense budgets have had something to do with this spate of accidents. Could you comment on that, please?
We believe our force is very ready. We believe the pilots are well trained. We don't think there's any connection between the defense budget and these crashes. As I said, we have not found a common thread to the crashes. Flight safety has been improving in the services over the last several years. In fact, if you go back over 10 or 15 years, you see a steady improvement. Now, there are always statistical blips, and there are years when accidents go up, and it's sometimes difficult to explain these statistical blips. But the point to make is we take every crash seriously. We respond with a thorough investigation. We look for ways to improve the flight record, and we're doing that here. Yes, Ivan.
Charlie, there has been speculation that because Lieutenant General Clark was at Oxford with the President and just because it's an election year that the nomination may be held hostage by the Senate leadership and may not go through. Do you have any indication when the committee will meet, and do you have any indication that his nomination will be approved at this point?
General Clark is a superb military officer. His record is clear to anybody who examines it. I would expect his nomination to be approved quickly, and it should be. Otto.
Back to the flight safety problem. One of the issues that was discussed at the hearing on the Hill Tuesday was the Marine Harriers, which have consistently had the highest accident rate of any military aircraft. General Blott pointed out that the Marines would like to remanufacture those aircraft, put a bigger and better engine in at a faster rate, but they don't have the money to do it. And now Congressman Hunter is promising that the Republicans will do that, and that's one of the things that he's attributing the administration's budget cuts, to make the Marines fly those airplanes that are not safe.
All airplanes have to be flown within the envelope of their performance characteristics, and you could probably increase the engine power of almost any airplane and therefore change its performance characteristics and the circumstances under which you'd change the circumstances under which you'd fly it or the way in which you'd fly it. I can't comment specifically on that, but clearly one of the steps that's been taken with the F-14s is to remind people to fly them within the parameters that are specified for the engines, the avionics, etc. Yes, Steve.
In his speech this morning, the Secretary didn't even mention Liberia, but he mentioned another problem in Africa, which is the plant being built in Libya. And he mentioned taking preventive action against it. He's mentioned this before, of course, but he sort of went out of his way to mention it today. Is there some preventive action being contemplated in this bill?
Well, the first thing we've done is started a diplomatic effort to generate opposition to this plant. It's fair to say that deadly chemicals manufactured in Libya are probably a most immediate threat to surrounding countries. After all, Libya did use chemicals against the people of Chad less than 10 years ago. So they have a record of using chemicals, deadly chemicals against neighboring countries. So The first step is to call attention to this plant, call attention to the risks of the plant, call attention to the record of the Libyans in using deadly chemicals in the past, and trying to generate international pressure against the Libyans to stop work on it. That's what we're doing. There are other ways to stop this plant, and we've used them in the past. We've used economic steps, business steps to prevent suppliers from providing the type of know-how and equipment that's necessary to build these plants. We will pursue that as well. There are also a series of military options that we could pursue if necessary. Our hope is that it won't be necessary because the plant will be stopped either by diplomatic or by economic measures. Any more questions?
Thank you.
Mark?
Will there be any type of costing figure in the Liberia operation?
Yes, there will be a cost figure in the Liberian operation when it's over, but it's not over yet. But we will get you a figure on that when we know it. Let's see. I've been handed a note here. It's hard to miss a note on paper of this color. It says, the next amphibious ready group to the Med is not the Essex, but it will be built around the USS Saipan. And do you have any idea when that'll get there? Okay, thanks a lot.